some of the elements that define a brand are the ones that you are looking at right now. We're talking about the colors associated to the brand, the typography that has been defined, logo rules, the web guidelines, so how navigation should be displayed in multiple devices, and also the ability to have cross-device support. And if we start just thinking quickly about color, our minds are actually programmed to respond to color. If you think, we stop when we see a red sign, we go when we see a green light, and we do this unconsciously in different situations for the same color. And brands use this psychology of color to be able to convey a message without words, messages that do reflect the spirit that underlies the corporate feeling. And when we look, for example, at something like this example with the McDonald's logo, we don't have to think much to identify immediately what's the right and the correct version of the McDonald's logo. And this is because our brains are programmed to identify color as the first and immediate element on a brand. And our brains actually identify color first, way ahead of identifying the text or identifying the icon. Color is in fact one of the key factors for instant brand recognition, and it's also a key factor on the decision that customers make on whether they like or not a brand. And in the same sense, typography also plays a very, very important role, defining the importance or the way that customers perceive that brand. So this is just a quick example for you to see that there are some elements related to the selection of typography that influences the way that customers will perceive that brand. And the truth is that the definition of the typefaces affects how consumers perceive, not only in terms of if it's a high-end brand or a low-end brand, but also other aspects, like if a certain brand is more intended towards a female market or a male market, and other differences. So ultimately, having a branded, unified interface on intranet is very important. First and foremost, our employees are in fact our brand ambassadors. So the intranet must reflect the mission, the values of our company, and that comes actually from the elements that define the brand. It's important that on an intranet level, we have everyone on the same page, that everyone has a common understanding of the brand, and this ultimately strengthens communication. It will increase the corporate morale, and it will improve employee understanding of the brand. So, with no further delay, and I just wanted us to reflect a little bit about this before moving into this demo. We will move to the demo right away, and for us, this is a very important step, because we are now being able to provide that unified experiences with one more tool, which is skybow.
Well, hi everyone. This is Mike Fitzmaurice, the CTO of skybow, and I'm going to hit a demo in just a second. What Beatrice had mentioned to me is that some of you might not have heard of us in the past, and I'd rather show you just about everything. But in case you wanted to hang on a couple of key concepts, skybow is one of many tools out there for building no-code solutions on top of SharePoint sites. Except we're the one that doesn't make you compromise in many different ways. So building the whole solution, not just a piece of it. I'll show you this in just a moment. So you'll build it all. You can build it fast, and you can build it in SharePoint. And with BindTuning, you can build it the way you want it to look. We do have a way of migrating existing investments, especially InfoPath forms, into our environments, and turn them into HTML forms that are, again, completely brandable and responsive ready, thanks to BindTuning. You can deploy and update and manage solutions. I kind of think of this as citizen DevOps or citizen developer operations. You don't have to develop a solution in a production place. It's responsible and responsive, and but still nice and easy. You can even turn your work product into a product. People build a lot of things with skybow, a lot of different things. These aren't just things we came up with in theory. These are things customers are doing with skybow today. And when we say build the whole solution, there are a lot of tools out there that will just do forms. There are a lot of tools out there that will just do maybe custom actions or workflows. There are some tools that do design work. We actually package the whole thing up into a single solution, and then we allow you to turn that into a package that can be deployed and made immediately workable on Office 365 and an on-premises SharePoint environment, in online marketplaces. You can put it in production sites, test sites, whatever. That's about as PowerPointy as I want to get. Now, first and foremost, this is a simple timesheet management solution, just to prove a point. And this is us working hand in hand. Well, this is us without BindTuning. And then this is us with just a tiny little bit of work. We're not really pushing the envelope. In fact, we're barely picking up the envelope. We're not doing a lot of fancy work with it, but with a couple of quick things, BindTuning turned it into this. It's not radically different, but what I do want to show you that matters a whole lot is if I open up an existing timesheet. Get a list of all of the timesheet. And apologize for the delay. It occurs to me that the server I am talking to is in the United States and I am in Slovenia, but it's still working reasonably well. All right, I want to open this one. And the reason I'm not showing you everything full screen is so I can resize things. But the same branding that I did for the overall site is applying to the individual forms. The same branding for the same rules for tabs, the same branding for form elements, the same branding for menus. And so I'm looking at one person's timesheet and check out what happens when I start moving it. Now, if you are a fan of BindTuning, this shouldn't be surprising to you at all. This should be what you think of as normal. Well, it's not something we were able to do by ourselves. It takes a lot of work to do that, except BindTuning made it really easy. So this, the first thing I wanted to show you is what BindTuning means to us. It actually buys us responsiveness and great looking applications, especially in a consistent way between on-premises and online. So now I want to focus on what you can actually do with skybow. So the key part of skybow that matters here is we have a typical skybow solution. If I show all timesheets, consists of a number of common elements. It's a data management app builder, and it is focused on using SharePoint to get things done. So there are certain common elements you would expect to see all the time. One thing would be lists, and not just one list, a whole collection of lists, because a timesheet would include information on the user, information on the hours worked, and a bunch of other things. We also have the ability to set up things like filtering lists. Like, for example, I only want to look at the timesheet items that were submitted. We're doing this with web parts. We're doing this with web technology. We're doing this with HTML and JavaScript. It's not magic. It's not supposed to be magic. It's actually supposed to be by the book SharePoint, and it's why BindTuning, when combined with skybow, lets you brand your applications really, really easily. And again, for the record, this is an unbranded app. And right now, I'm just showing you what skybow does. So I am looking at one particular timesheet, and I have information as to all the activities. This is the log of what's happened so far. It looks like I submitted it, and then my manager wanted more information required, and so it got sent back to me, and I've submitted it again. I haven't seen any decision yet. There are no documents attached to this, but that's okay. Documents aren't really, here they aren't attachments. They're not list attachments. If you're familiar with SharePoint, list attachments have all kinds of crazy issues. This is a window into a document library linked to the timesheet, and we're showing you just the documents where everything works. So here are the line items. It looks like I only have one. I worked entirely on a single project the entire time. But there are totals, the sorts of things you would expect. And we're context sensitive. The only thing I'm allowed to do at this point is generate a report. In other words, build a Word document with all the contents of the form. On the other hand, if I am my manager, this is a different person logged in a different account. I see the ability to approve. This is the exact same timesheet. I can approve it or ask for more info again or decline it. So it is a common scenario to build data management apps, but we do things like tab dialogues. We do things like master detail relationships and multiple master detail relationships. In fact, here's a full-blown dossier or case file on an employee in an organization. We've got multiple addresses being maintained on the person. We know all about their education and certifications and a whole bunch of other things. And we're able to execute on a lot of different business rules on that. Now, here is how we do it. Our design environment is actually based on, let's do that. This is the employee management solution, and we actually put a full-blown solution design environment into a SharePoint site. And the first thing you do is build collections of lists. So the hierarchy of lists, we start with an employee list, but we also have sub-lists for education and certifications and children and tasks and documents. And by modeling that and indicating relationships between that, we'll go ahead and automatically build all the forms that you might need to work with this. And it is a standard web-based design approach. We'd rather not introduce some sort of custom runtime that takes the work out of SharePoint and slows everything down and becomes really difficult to brand. In our case, we've gone ahead and done everything by the book using HTML and JavaScript and SharePoint web parts and such. In fact, the relationships between master and detail rows, that's done with web part connections. It's a SharePoint app, but we can build it so much faster than someone in Visual Studio can. So here I have a bunch of different activities that can be done. These turn out to be full-blown sets of chained actions. I'd be reluctant to call this a workflow, but it's certainly a script or a set of activities that can be done one after the other. And that can include changing data or talking to web services or redirecting somewhere else or sending emails, popping up messages, all that good stuff. And everything can be secured and made conditional based on where you are in a business process, who the user is, all that good stuff. So this includes the data, the forms. It also includes rules for governing the data. And any lookup information, we can even bring along values. So say you want to deploy a solution to a customer site. You've been building something, and you've got a lookup of countries, another lookup of regions or cities or so on. You can actually ship the data with the solution if you need to do that. We also have some custom pages, some custom images. In other words, it's not just one thing, and you have to decide how to package it all up and deploy it. We've given you the whole solution. You can put things in here that you built elsewhere if you want, and just use us as a packager. But what I'm going to do with this is click on Package. I've actually deployed this one before. Oh, no, not this one. This one is new. If I click here, I can create a new package, which would be like a release, and I can maintain multiple versions and so on. And then when I've got at least one package, I have the ability to publish my solution somewhere else. If I choose to publish, I don't have any packages yet, right? Sorry about that. But I can publish something to Office 365, SharePoint on premises. I can turn it into an add-in that you load into the app catalog. I can do all kinds of things. This is the stuff that professional code style developers used to have to use Visual Studio to get. We do it in a browser and we make it really easy. By the way, the one other thing that we do, we make it really easy to deal with money. If you build a solution like this, development is always free, always. But we will tell you what it's going to cost to deploy it. We basically need to know how many users are going to use it and which features the solution makes use of. It looks like we've got 8 different things we'll charge you for as add-ons. Like if you use custom forms and links that execute actions and so on, each of those involves a small amount of money per user per month. So as it turns out, in this particular case, this uses 6 out of our 8 functionalities. And for 1,000 users, that would be 70 cents per user per month, or 691 euro per month in this particular case. It's a sliding scale with 100 users. It's a little bit more money per user per month. So in other words, we don't want you to pay for a feature you don't use. And we don't want you to pay for a user that doesn't use it. But the more you use it, the cheaper it's going to be. That's basically the philosophy we have. We actively look for ways for you to not pay us unless you're really getting value. And when we say users, we mean concurrent users over the course of a month, not named users. If you've got 10,000 users in your organization and only 100 use this app, we only want 100 licenses. So in terms of skybow, that's basically it in a nutshell. You build business solutions with us. They are completely extensible. If you want to go nuts with JavaScript, we have places to put it, but we'd like you to not need to if you don't want to. And we largely succeed in that. But yeah, model the data, change the forms, add some actions, throw in any extra pages, add in BindTuning theming and styling and branding details, package that up, publish it, and you are good to go. And you can do this over and over and over again. I can't tell you how many consultants have been happy about the fact that they can build something in their own tenants and then send the result ready to use by their users in their client organizations. That's been a big plus for us.